My Cub Cadet LTX 1045, 2011 model, won't start. I've replaced the starter and installed a new battery. I had the starter tested and the brushes were bad. Had the battery tested and it wasn't taking a charge. I completed the circuit on the solenoid with a screwdriver. I get sparks but the engine doesn't turn over. I've ordered a new safety switch for under the seat, but I'm wondering if that will solve the problem. Thanks for any help.
Hello, and thank you for choosing JustAnswer. I'll be helping you today and am committed to providing clear and concise answers to your question. Does the engine turn over if you remove the spark plug? Does the engine turn over easily by hand or do you feel binding?
I don't know. I don't know how to turn the engine over by hand.
By rotating the crankshaft from underneath. Easier to check with the belts removed. What model is this we're working on, please? The LTX 1045 doesn't really tell us much since that designation is used over and over. What are the model and serial numbers of your equipment shown on the model number plate, please? Both numbers will be 11 digits long consisting of numbers and letters. The following link will give detailed information on where it's located and what format it follows. This information will allow us to reference service information specific to your unit to better answer your question. Cub Cadet model info. Thank you.
I can't get under the machine right now as it's on a trailer. Model number 13WX918056, serial number 1D141H10252.
Thank you. That has a Kohler SV600, so the first thing to determine is whether you are looking at an engine problem, or an electrical one. To clarify, by not turning over, do you mean the electric starter is not cranking the engine? Or do you mean the electric starter is cranking but the engine is not starting? The troubleshooting is quite different between the two, and since you mentioned sparks, my thought is that the engine is not cranking, starter not moving? If that's the case, the seat switch will not correct the problem, since it's used for grounding the ignition but not for crank. However, if it's cranking and not starting, it would certainly be a potential suspect. But some troubleshooting to narrow it down is the first step. When would the tractor be available?
The tractor is outside right now. I had to go look at it to get the numbers for you. The starter is not cranking the engine. I turn the key, the lights come on, but nothing happens.
I'd be interested as it still does this with the spark plug removed. It may be a compression issue with the engine, or you may have something binding underneath. That's why I usually start with simply seeing if the engine turns over so we know whether it's mechanical or electrical. Is the new battery fully charged? Do you have a voltmeter to see how many volts it's putting out both at rest and when attempting to start? Also, just to be safe, but it doesn't match with your other stated symptoms, have you checked to see if there's a blown fuse? They are generally located in front of the dash under the hood, but if you do not see it, here's a surefire way to locate it. It can be physically located at a number of places in the harness, but it always located between the same two components. Start at the red, plus, battery post and follow the battery cable to the starter solenoid. On the same top post of the solenoid where the battery is hooked there is another smaller red wire. Follow this small red wire and it will lead you directly to the fuse. Since it will not crank with the screwdriver across the top terminals, then if the battery and the starter are both good, that leaves the cables, or engine binding/compression. Are all three cables, red battery to solenoid, solenoid to starter, battery to ground, all in good shape, no corrosion, tight and well connected? Especially the ground cable. It's often the culprit in these scenarios. Site guidelines require that I post all troubleshooting steps or partial answers as answers, but this is certainly not the final answer yet. Additional troubleshooting will be required. So please hold off on rating until we determine the exact problem. Please use the reply to expert link so we can continue the discussion.
Fuse appears to be fine. I'll have to pull the cover off to get to the spark plug, I guess. I can't see it, must be under the plastic cover. Battery cables appear to be connected solidly with no corrosion. The ground wire, green right, also appears to be solid and connected. It'll take me a while to pull the cover off. I can't believe the engine is bound up. This thing is barely 2 years old, hasn't used a drop off oil and was running fine the last time I shut it off. Oil is barely stained.
I'm really not thinking the engine is bound up. But what is rather common is a compression release problem, which is why I'm asking those questions. My gut feeling is this is a valve adjustment issue, but I just don't have enough evidence to make that determination yet. That's why I keep probing for info. I'd like to help you nail this the first time so the job is easier and solved quickly.
I got the cover off and spark plug out. I didn't remove the belt as I can't get at it on my small trailer. The shaft turns until the belt gets tight, then I can't move it any further. It does move, however. Not sure if that tells you enough or not. I'm hesitant to take it off the trailer as it was a tough job to get it on without being running. If I have to take the thing somewhere to get fixed, I'd rather not go through that routine again. I appreciate your thoroughness.
I understand. But it does leave me at a bit of a disadvantage, somewhat like a crime scene investigator trying to do his job wearing a blindfold. At this point, I would be sure to try it with the spark plug removed if you can get to that on the trailer. This will let us know if it's a valve or compression issue.
I do have the spark out and did turn the shaft, see my last response. Do I have to pull the belt off to make sure the shaft turns freely? The shaft turns until the belts tighten. I can move the shaft both clockwise and counterclockwise until the belt tightens. If it is a valve or compression issue, it will require a trip to a mechanic most likely. I have limited mechanical skills.
A valve adjustment is a pretty simple procedure. My question is, with the plug out, does it now turn with the electric starter? If it does, then it may simply be that T valves are out of adjustment. But again, there's a number of possibilities, and with some concrete troubleshooting it's not possible to say for sure. On the SV600, the process is, intake, 0.005 inches exhaust, 0.007 inches with the engine cold, bring the piston up to top dead center on the compression stroke. The easiest way to determine this is to feel for compression through the spark plug hole. You should not see any valve movement if the crankshaft is rotated slightly back and forth clockwise and counterclockwise. If they are moving, you are on the exhaust stroke instead, so rotate the crankshaft 1 full revolution. You can use a wooden dowel through the spark plug hole to determine when it's reached the top of the stroke. Loosen the set screw in the top of the adjuster nut and insert a 0.005 inches feeler gauge between the end of one intake valve and the rocker arm. Tighten the adjuster nut until you feel a slight drag on the feeler gauge. Hold the adjuster nut in this position and tighten the set screw securely. 50 inches. Pound. http://inger.com/0leaf4/f01.justAnswer.com/ref/http_i.inger.com/0leaf4does.png. After tightening, recheck the adjustment. If you are still within 0.004 inches minus 0.006, you are good to go. Do the exhaust valve on the same way, setting it at 0.007. After you've done the adjustment, rotate the crankshaft to check for free operation of the valve train, turning the crankshaft at least 2 complete revolutions to ensure everything is working well and there is no binding.
No, it does not turn with the electric starter.
I'm honestly not sure what to recommend if you don't feel comfortable doing some troubleshooting, so I'll opt out at this point and wish you the very best of success.
Thought that was what I was doing. I followed your suggestions and replied back. Guess I won't be back here again.
If you have a home improvement or appliance question and want to chat with an expert, now visit JustAnswer.com/YTHI.